So this diagram depicts an example of a forested hill slope that might represent the original site conditions prior to the installation of a pipeline or other facility. In this scenario, when heavy precipitation event occurs, it typically takes about one to 2 days for the saturated soil to drain and return to normal soil conditions. The soil does not stay saturated for long periods of time. The trees help to remove excess water through evapotranspiration, and the tree roots increase soil stability by moving the excess water on the surface into the water table, and thus increasing that, because there's movement of water in the water, because there's less soil moisture. There is thus an increase in soil cohesion and the ability of those soil particles to adhere to one another, and also an ability of the soil to withstand shear stress or weight and slippage. So you have an overall increase in the ability of a land mass to remain stable as a result of the water being moved from that surface area into the atmosphere and then into the lower water table or groundwater. Next slide. So this slide represents that same slope. However, the trees have been removed. The roots are still in place, but trees have been cut. And you might look at this as if you were preparing to, construct a pipeline or other infrastructure on that same right of way, or on that same landscape, excuse me. So when we remove the trees, more water stays in the soil for a longer duration, and it takes longer for the soil to drain as a result. There's not any evapotranspiration happening as a result of the trees, and the remaining roots will continue to move. The remaining roots that are there, the trees have just been cut, the roots have not been removed. And so those roots will continue to move surface water to the groundwater table via those relic root channels. And thus, that will slowly diminish as the roots degrade, right? The roots will degrade over time, and the ability of those roots to move surface water into groundwater tables will eventually fade. However, right now those roots are helping stabilize the slope and reduce soil saturation. Next slide, please. So now you take that same site and you install a landslide. And I keep wanting to say a landslide. So you install a pipeline. And now that the pipeline is installed, the right-of-way has been reclaimed, but stormwater controls are either non-existent or insufficient. So this is the scenario in which the hill slope is most at risk. Now that the roots have been removed, they're no longer moving water from the surface into the groundwater, the water table through the root channels. That's a problem. You have increased soil saturation at the surface. Additionally, the pipe and the associated trench, they collect and dam the water flowing downslope. So you have more water being held in place, thus decreasing that soil cohesion and the slope's ability to withstand slippage or that angle of internal friction, while simultaneously you're increasing the soil mass. So you have that shear stress or the likelihood of slope slippage building up right at the juncture of the pipeline, which creates a scenario ripe for disaster given a heavy rainstorm.